Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be with you this evening for shall we say, a dramatic recitation from some selections of a book I've written called Conversing with Poetry, collections by Stefan George. This is a German poet. He lived from, 1868 to 1923. Basically, we're concerned throughout this presentation with poets who lived during this time period, last quarter of the 19th and first quarter of the 20th century, transition era poets. The name of this poet, written in English, looks like Stefan George, but it's pronounced Stefan George. Actually, his baptismal name was Etienne Georges. He came from the Alsace-Lorraine region, which has both French and German elements, and has been owned by the two countries back and forth throughout its history. Anyway, what we have here is an illustration in this short show that I'm going to give you tonight of the basic assumption that I love to repeat, and that is the best response to a poem you value will be a poem you write in reply. I really believe that. So the superbly crafted lyrics of Stefan George embody a range of moods that not only charm the hearer by their verbal music, but make that hearer wants to continue the melody and to elaborate or amplify suggested implications. George's contemporary, Maria Rilke, offers context in my replies, as do kindred spirits from Russia. We're writing about poets who all belong to the latter part of the what's called Romantic Age in lyrical writing. You write poems of intensified introspection, and you often create for the mindset that you want to explore an imaginary character in any sort of setting, and there could be any sort of mood. It's a wonderful kind of writing to join in with. So let's start. I'm going to have from 5 books that I'm selecting from, one lyric each by George, and then something by me to carry out the conversation. Here's a thing by George called, this is from his first book, Book of the Hanging Gardens. It's called Voices of the River. The river speaks. The elements are heard. Loving, lamenting, and wavering being, seek your escape in our watery realm. Nourished, you'll flourish. Be glad of your fleeing. Words and embraces will welcome and whelm. Smooth-moving bodies and lips formed of coral resonate, swim in a castle asway, hair-waving snagged in a ramified coral, nearing, then borne by a maelstrom away. Dim bluish lamps that will barely enlighten, pillars that twirl on a quick whirling shoe, fiddling and quivering wave tune will brighten, restfully blessing the cradling of you. Yes, when in singing and feeling you've tarried, tired of the dubious joy of the waves, here is a kiss, and in ripples you're carried slow to and fro by a gliding that laves. Well, a total surrender, can have its dark side. It's like a bit. I'm thinking of Robert Frost, Tempted by the Forest. Remember stopping by woods in a snowy evening? How the conclusion goes. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. It's a very beautiful, it's a cradling and a soothing poem, but shall we say a little bit dark. The horse is getting a little anxious and nervous and fearful. The death wish might take over. Let's now try another one where also the elements seem to have control. Here it's not water, it's so to speak, the imbibition of spirituous liquors. Let the Drunken Dervish, in this poem by Nikolai Gumilyov, explain it to you. In the cypresses are nightingales, the moon begins to shine. A little black stone, little white stone, I have drunk a lot of wine. Then my heart beat louder far, my bottle melody had made. All the world's the kindly shine of friendly eyes, the rest but shade. I've not come to love the taverner today or yesterday. Not today or yesterday have I been drunken, laid away, but the triumph of my wisdom is a thing I'll never trade. All the world's the kindly shine of friendly eyes, the rest but shade. I'm a wanderer, a vagrant, and a wayward man as well. What I thought I knew, I long ago forgot. It so befell. For a rosy blooming smile, and one refrain, I am afraid. All the world's the kindly shine of friendly eyes, the rest but shade. Now I'm heading for the graveyard, where my friends are lying low. Need I be ashamed to ask the dead what they of love may know? And a skull proclaimed the secret from the pit where it was laid. All the world's the kindly shine of friendly eyes, the rest but shade. In the moonlight rise the welling streams from out their graying lake. In the cypresses the silent nightingales no music make, save a single one who never sang before in the shadow glade. All the world's the kindly sign of friendly eyes, the rest but shade. Okay, so there's our conversation from the first book, the Book of the Hanging Guards, and now from second book I've picked, A Year of the Soul, a short one by Stefan George, and then a reply. With a merry dread, it's interesting, this, the drunken guy wasn't sure that everything he had done had helped him manage his life quite as well as he really should have, but he celebrates anyway. Mixtures, complexities of ambivalent states of mind are very frequent in Stefan George and in kindred spirits who think the same way and feel similar feelings. With a merry dread it was that we up late, on moonlit eves the self-same way'd begun. As if by moistened blossoms overrun, we'd walk the forest way, old tales relate. You led me to the witching haunted vales, of pallid fragrance and of naked shine, as from the graves you could afar divine how turbid love may grow where torment flails. Where torment flails. Well, merry dread indeed. Now, here's my reply. It may surprise you. I'm bringing in another kindred spirit from a different place, but this is just, it's the same country, Germany. When coming soon to like the singer's work, one thing is ever clearer to the reader. The mood of Heinrich Heine's Buch der Lieder, Book of Songs, will intimate where lover perils lurk. of which the wary hero shouldn't shirk, to learn but be a quick and eager heeder, for Pan is panic, and the mushroom feeder sees styriac and venom in the murk. Have you ever thought about the word panic? It comes from Pan. Pan inspires panic, actually. I don't know whether he feels it, but at noonday, if you feel in the middle of a hot meadow the sun beating down upon you, and you look all around, and if these are early times, in superstitions, unlike not at all unlike today, very much like today, superstitions are widely rife, and you notice this, your shadow is gone. It's almost as if where's your soul if your shadow's gone? It's a frightening thing. Panic lives on. The god Pan, the nature god, lives on in that word today. The birds of paradise will perch and perk the foxglove upward, yet the clever weeder must watch and often shun, and be the seeder of safer plant than serious girl would irk. He's writing in this very melodious folk song type style, but Ceres girl, that's Proserpine or Proserpina, she ate the seeds of the pomegranate while in the underworld, and there she now still has to spend half of every year, according to the bargain which was made with the underworld god Pluto, and so then she's got a summer-winter story to tell, which is perhaps half happy and half felt as tragic. Certainly the first time it occurred by her weeping mother Ceres. I once translated by the German poet Schiller a very long lament of Ceres for her daughter. Now here's a sample Heine poem, just to show you, mournful but with a touch of sardonic humor. He likes the humor. Here we go. In my life, too dark by far, in mein gar zu dunkles Leben. In my life too dark by far, once a gleam was sweet to see. Pallid now the traces are, night my graver company. Children left in dark confinement feel a hindered, hampered mood, and a tempting realignment, love fortunes have they accrued. Whistling in the dark, I, crazed child, am singing madly, light forsaken long ago. Though I do it rather badly, it is vanquishing my woe. That's a wonderful distillation of the personality of Heinrich Heine. Delightful music and mixed feelings. Here we see Heine characteristically blending the two, and I think we're ready now for our third conversation, which is from the book Mournful Dances. A song once more be shaping, in glad time tones of boldness undismayed, my peace, how well you know, escaping, my hand is faint, afraid. Dark souls can feel and see, with forms appearing strange and high, yet failing light of memory makes gay bright colors die. When ailing spirits speak, alluring soothing tone will tell, though voice be noble, deep, not weak, it cannot sing so well. Reply. My reply calls into mind Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the author of Rime of the Ancient Mariner, a bittersweet song if there ever was one. And of course he was plagued with dope addiction during most of his adult life. He did, however, write as I would say a total of 10 really great poems, and I analyzed them all in my book Patterns of Epiphany. Here's the reply I would make about Coleridge, bringing him into conversation with Stefan George. When Coleridge wrote the ode, Dejection, he a mood piece made. How wearisome the heavy load, the empty gloom portrayed. The memory was dulled, No relish for the world remained, as over woe alone he mulled, and of his pain complained. I'm getting a little bit quirky and funny, and my rhymes are getting almost a bit prankish. He wrote of impotence, and writing felt a power swell in rolling ocean waves immense that raised him out of hell. I taught for 35 years, in Binghamton University, and the old dejection, I never got tired of it. Interestingly, there's more than one draft. As Coleridge was bothered by his, shall we say, highly problematic love for two women at the same time. They were both named Sarah. That's my daughter's name, incidentally. Now we come to number 4, from book The Tapestry of Life. It's an imaginative treat. Consider the following poem, and it's such a good poem that I bring in one by Maria Rilke, also a kindred spirit, to converse with it. I translated both of them with great joy. What happens in these two poems is quite interesting. I talked about dramatic monologues, and as we grow and develop, we discover, particularly I do, I'm 82 years old already, how many selves we have had. And it happens that Stefan George, like his kindred spirit, Maria Rilke, grew up in Catholic homes, very Catholic, in quite intense religious backgrounds, and they can still call on that when they feel like it. They know what the feeling is, and they alter it briefly. They both left the church, but interestingly, look what you can do with your former self as if you're writing about an imaginary person to explore a mindset, which is what romantic poetry is all about, intensified introspection. So let's go with The Disciple by George. The joys you tell of aren't my sort of pleasure. My heartfelt love beats only for my Lord. You may avow a sweetness that I treasure, yet I adore my one exalted Lord. More than the finest artwork of your guild, I must take in the world work of my Lord. Because he is so kind, I'll be fulfilled in grateful service of my gracious Lord. My journeys well may lead to somber lands where many die. However, with my Lord I perils may defy. One understands the need to trust that he is wise, my Lord. If in my questing all rewards are scanted, it will suffice to gaze upon my Lord. There may be others richer, but he's granted such greatness, I must haste to see my Lord. Rilke. The poets widely scattered you. A storm their stammering went through. But I'll regather you and save in vessel that you pleasure gave. Mid many winds my path would wind. 1,000 times you'd drive me there. I'm bringing everything I find. Some used you as a cup, the blind. Servants to hide you deep designed. The beggar offered you with care. At times was to a child consigned a piece of meaning you'd prepare. I seek, you see, desire and dare. I'm one who hides behind his hand, and as a shepherd wanders free, lest alien gaze upon him land, and harm forestall it and foresee. My dream is to complete you, and by you may I completed be. This is an utterly astonishing thing, because it also relates in the most intimate way to the Jewish Kabbalistic tradition that things are fallen from the way they once were, and that our duty is therefore that of tikkun, or reparation. We must restore the divine unity that the world once held before that unity was sundered and we were led astray. And the way to do that is to take everything this world offers. It's all God's creation, as David said in one of the Psalms. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So you take everything in the world and you restore it to its primal sanctity. There should be at the end nothing but sanctity, and then the somewhile exiled emanation, or a female counterpart or consort of the Lord will be reunited with him on the Sabbath, no doubt, and the world will truly be united in an overflow of love. Okay, now we turn to something quite interesting. It's from a later collection called just simply called Song, and I didn't translate the whole book. I translate a section of the book and that's what Song is. It appeared in a volume called The Kingdom Come. Here's the words. It's only a page long. And here I'm concentrating on a very interesting topic, which is what happens when you write a poem that centers on an adage or a proverb. Can you trust proverbs? Let's see. The word I distant wonder brought, or dream, back to my country's border seam, waited till Norn of Grey might tell what name she found within her well. Those are the Norse fates. They're like the Greek fates, 3 women. One of them, spins out the thread of your life. Another one measures it. And the third one cuts it when it's your time to go. Then thick and strong I grasped it, and it bloomed and gleamed through borderland. I planned one valued journey more, a rich and tender gem I bore. Long time she sought and said, there sleeps no thing like this on grounding deeps. At that it fled from out my hand. Gone was the treasure from my land. Denial sad the mind assailed. No thing is where the word has failed. Sounds like a proverb, doesn't it? And that has become one of the best known of George's lines. No thing is where the word has failed. I wrote a 2-part reply to that. Actually, only one part is by me. Another is by one of those kindred spirits I've been telling you about. Here's my own remark. How like the witches in Macbeth are weary fates and norns of death. Will graying fate a word restrain, or keep the gleaner from the grain? The letter spirit killed, they said, but that's a maxim I have read. See, Proverbs the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. That's what the Apostle Paul said in the Christian scriptures. But then if you read it, then you've read it. You read the letters on the page. Do you see the problem? The Sibyl whispered eagerly, reverse your motto, it may be, perhaps with equal wisdom filled, by skeptic healthy skill instilled. Slain word, when thing is unperceived. This warning, should it be believed, let spirit Eos, or Eos, that's the goddess of dawn, greet the morn. Let word regleam, defeat the Norn. That's a hope. That's a protest. And now we're going to try an illustration of if you can call it a maxim, it certainly is a procedure. It's a method that I've used to help me deal with maxims and proverbs. Because here's what I've concluded about them: a maxim is a form of word art where extreme brevity is prized, but they usually deal with the hugest possible topics. So immense amounts of material are left out when you formulate a proverb. Just think, how about he who hesitates is lost, and then look before you leap. You can do pairs of these. So my methodological procedure is try to reverse every proverb you hear, and you get interesting results. How about nature leads art? A lot of people say that. They've been saying it for centuries, but Oscar Wilde said, no, art leads nature. And that has a lot of truth, too, because when I look at a snowdrift in winter, I see colors. I see pink and orange and lavender and green even. Have I seen green? I've been looking for it. I've seen a host of colors that I probably never would have looked at if people such as Monet, who did at least 35 versions of the same haystack in different tints of light, had not taught me, okay? So there's reversing proverbs. And now we're going to watch. We just learned no thing is where the word has failed. And now the poet Tyutchev, who lived in 19th century Russia and was a member of the Romantic school, like the rest of our friends, wrote a poem called Silentium, which Leo Tolstoy, the author of War and Peace, and Anna Karenina, seems to have liked so much that in his copy of the poem, in whatever book he was where he was reading it, he wrote 3 exclamation marks after the letter T. In other words, what a marvel, what a wonder this strange Tyutchev is. Here's what he wrote: Silentium, Latin for silent, silence. Be silent and withdraw. I thought we said no thing is where the word has failed. Won't you lose all the experience if you lose all the words? No, says Tyutchev, you'll gain everything when you gain silence. Words can't even begin to stack up against silence. Listen to this. Listen. Words. Be silent and withdraw. Conceal both what you dream and what you feel. Let dream and feeling rise and set in sightless depth of spirit. Let them move like stars in heaven, free. Admire them all, but silently. How can the heart its depth express? How will another ever guess what love it is that you live by? A thought once uttered is a lie. Perturb not wellsprings' purity. Drink of them deeply, silently. Alert to spirit, learn to live. My soul a deeper world will give. Mysterious hidden thoughts within are deafened by external din, dissolved by daylight clarity. Absorb their singing silently. The thought once uttered is a lie. Мысль изреченная есть ложь. In fact, Pushkin wants you not only to ponder that phrase, those words, even though they're not silenced, they may come closest to it in depth. And he wants to indicate that by using the word unspoken or unsought, the word unuttered. The word unuttered is izrechonная. That's not even Russian. That hasn't been a conversational word in Russian for hundreds of years. It sounds like Church Slavonic and perhaps may be found there. So in other words, he wants to give you the sense that his poem is a part of liturgy. You know, I hope that I have shown you with these very dramatic two examples of Stefan George and Fyodor Tyutchev. Tyutchev ought to be better known than he is by far. I think his greatness is indisputable. Anyway, I've hoped that by juxtaposing these two of my favorite pieces of writing to think about, that I've shown the usefulness of and the beauty, I hope, of conversation. Thank you.